Another one. I want to say that another one of the hot topics, and it kind of goes along with the quarterback information. The quarterback, naming. One of our favorites on the VandyMania board was VU Guru. You know him well, Don.
Yeah.
And I wanted to read just a little bit about this. I wanted to read his post, if you got a second, where he says, I find it very humorous that there is so much loyalty to one player, or even two, who has yet to even take a single collegiate snap, than there is to a player who is the prototype Vanderbilt student-athlete. B, a Tennessean from the most successful high school program in the history of the state, located in the heart of UT country and had absolutely no interest in playing there. C, he left UNC the day before classes started to be part of our program. D, he played a major role as a redshirt freshman in victories over UT, Florida, and Georgia for the first time in our program's history. And E, he made the signature iconic play against UT to cap off our little football renaissance that we've been going through the last 4 years. He said that Patton has earned and deserves all of our unwavering support, and he is to perform under fire, and if he doesn't, somebody else will undoubtedly get a shot. I think that said it right there. This is any other year, in any other circumstance, Vanderbilt fans this guy would be a cult hero around school.
I know, that's pretty amazing. He's right. This guy, I cannot believe myself that there's so many people out, naysayers. I can understand saying you think the other quarterback's better, but to say disparaging things about Robinette, which some of them have, is really, it hurts to hear that said about a Vanderbilt player. Someone like him that stepped in and did a job for the team. He probably wasn't ready to be a starting quarterback, but boy, he sure did a job. Even though his statistics weren't fantastic, he did his job and he made those plays when he had to. And I'm happy to see that he's back as a starting quarterback. Now, if he's, like I said earlier, if he starts falling apart and can't execute the offense, give somebody else a shot. I'm sure he'll agree with that, but I think he deserves to be the first string quarterback. I mean, if it was a tie between all three of them, he should be the one starting because of what he's done in the past and the experience he has.
Absolutely. And Don, what is your general outlook on the SEC this year? I know that, we think that Vanderbilt has the chance I think we have the chance to go 8-4 this year. I think that Alabama's probably the favorite. I think that Alabama and South Carolina are going to be your teams from the West and the East. But what other things do you see happening around the league that might impact Vanderbilt and, where we've drawn in Mississippi State this year, which used to be a pretty winnable game, they're now the dark horses in the West.
Yeah, they're saying Mississippi State's going to have the most experienced team in the SEC. That doesn't mean it's going to be the most talented team, but they're going to have a lot of good players. And Alabama, they lost the starting quarterback, and there's big questions about that. But, they're going to have a monstrous team like they always do because they recruit so well. Kentucky supposedly adding a lot of they had a couple of good recruiting classes in a row, so a lot of people are interpreting that, okay, they're going to be a juggernaut in the SEC suddenly, but I don't really see it that way until they start winning. We've seen teams like this before that sign all these All-Americans and stuff, and they can't. The SEC is a tough conference, and I'm telling you, from top to bottom, everybody's got good players. Just because you got good players doesn't mean you're going to win. You got to have good coaching to go with it. I'm not sold on that Stoops guy. He isn't his brother. I tell you, his brother at Oklahoma is a different Stoops. I don't think he's going to do as well as that guy. He just doesn't. He doesn't strike me as, just looking at him, listening to him talk. That Bob Stoops, I think, is at Oklahoma. That guy's more like a Saban type guy.
Mm-hmm.
This Mark Stoops, I think is Mark Stoops at Kentucky.
Yep.
Yeah, to me, he just doesn't. I don't know. I don't see Kentucky being as good. They're going to be a hard fight this year, probably tougher fight than last year.
Yeah.
But
well, Don, I can say one thing, that it is the SEC, and as many people, as Mark Stoops' brother Bob Stoops likes to say, the Big 12 is more competitive top to bottom, but I would challenge him to look at the last year's unpredictability in the SEC, and if you would tell anybody that the Southeastern Conference's last place team in the East and the Southeastern Conference's last place team in the West would have battled it out in the SEC championship for a potential shot at the national championship, nobody would have taken that bet. And last year with Missouri and Auburn, that was the case. So this year, I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. The SEC championship is going to be Kentucky and Arkansas. Both of them 0-8 in the conference last year. They're poised for a big step.
Well, let's hope you're not right, but you never know. It's crazy. The crazy SEC. It could happen, I guess, but I don't know. I'd rather see Vanderbilt in there. I mean, we were picked last by a lot of people this year. By the way, the Vanderbilt Scout.com prediction came out today for the SEC. Actually, the SEC Scout.com prediction. They picked Vanderbilt 5th in the SEC East. So that's one ahead of Tennessee and Kentucky.
Those guys must have some good knowledge. That's why if you're not already a member of the Scout.com website, VandyMania.com, go ahead and get your membership. I think Don Yates, you got some pretty good deals going on right now.
Yeah, actually they ended on Saturday, but it's always a bargain to do the annual plan. You'll save a lot of money over the monthly plan.
Absolutely. Go get on that right now if you haven't already. Well, Don, we've got, where it's game week, and what do you know about Temple, if anything? And,
I know they got a mobile quarterback, and he's a dual threat type quarterback. He can run and throw, very athletic. P.J. Walker, he's a sophomore. Last year, he started a few games as a freshman. A lot of people are thinking that he can do great things someday. I saw one prediction for that conference where they said that Temple had a chance to upset teams like Vanderbilt on the schedule. I don't know if the players got to see that or not, but they have a pretty good running back, Kenneth Harper. He ran for I think like 600 or 700 yards last season, but they only have one starter back on their offensive line. That's the center, Kyle Friend. Defensively, I don't really know that much about them, but they gave up a lot of points last year, so they got a lot of starters back, so people are thinking they're going to be improved. They probably will be improved. It's the coach's second season there. For a while there, Temple was doing pretty good.
Under Al Golden, they were fantastic.
Yeah, he had them going strong and then took off to Miami. So this guy was the offensive coordinator, I think, under Golden or something like that, and he's come back to take over the reins as a head coach. So I think Vanderbilt should be able to win handily, but they got to be ready to play anybody. They can't. This is probably our best non-conference opponent right here, believe it or not. UMass should be improved too. I think they're going to have a lot of people back too. Do play UMass, right? But so what are your thoughts on Temple?
Hang on. Well, I think that Vanderbilt's going to win. My score is 24-10.
24-10. I think it's going to be more than that. I think it's going to be like 31-7, something like that. 31-7 Vanderbilt.
31-7. All right. So, is there a spread that's out right now for the game?
Well, I read it was like 17 or 18. I really don't follow the gambling side that much, but I did see that. It was interesting just to hear it, just to know what they're saying, but I'm not into all that gambling. So I'd probably go broke if I did.
Yep, I probably would too. I floated it out there that VandyMania.com podcast was going to do a prediction winner contest. for this first game, and I've gotten a lot of responses on the football forum. A lot of them have Vanderbilt winning. I think that maybe one Temple fan might have eased in there and predicted a 31-28 upset. But I think that Vandy wins. You know, I even said that we would throw a tiebreaker out there, so if someone got the exact same score as me, because I know that my score is going to be the correct one, that we would then go to the tiebreaker of who led the team in tackles, and I think it's going to be Nigel Bowden, a guy who at the beginning of the year I called as my breakout player at the beginning of the podcast calendar. And I'm looking forward to seeing these guys strap it up finally.
Yeah, me too. I'll tell you what, the off season is just so boring, and then the next thing you know, it's football season again. You know, you go from football to basketball and baseball, and then you have nothing for a while, really, sports for Vanderbilt, and then you get football back again. So it's kind of nice. I think this team, let's don't sell this team short. I mean, if these coaches come in here as you know, highly regarded as some of them are, our assistants we brought in, these NFL assistants and former BCS head coaches and stuff, and I think we had the most talented Vanderbilt team ever right now. We lost some good players, but overall I think this team is probably the most talented Vanderbilt football team in history. This team could win 9 or 10 games. I'm not saying they are, but if the stars align right, kind of like the baseball team, the stars align right there at the end of the season, how the pairings and stuff went in the NCAA and the NCAA tournament and stuff, and how the stuff lined up in the World Series and all that at the end. It worked out well for Vandy. And if the same thing happens, you can see these guys in the SEC championship game. I know people think I'm crazy, but they got the horses now to do it. I'm not saying again that they're going to do it, but it's possible. They have a shot at winning, or at least going to the SEC championship game.
We definitely have a shot to do it. You know, I think that if the stars align, this would be a year that it would happen. I do think that we have some very, very tough Western Conference opponents. Ole Miss and Mississippi State both would be considered dark horse candidates to win the West, but are definitely candidates that may not be able to run the gauntlet, but will beat one of the Power 2 or Power 2 or 3, those being Alabama, LSU, and Auburn this year. I think that they'll be one of them, but like I said, running the gauntlet would be very tough in the West this year.
Yeah, it's just that, you know, Mississippi State, who did they play the week before us? They're probably the best, most toughest road game we have, other than Georgia. You know, they're not going to overlook Vandy.
They have a tough game, right?
And guess where Mississippi State plays the week before they play us?
Who? Alabama.
At Alabama. So either they're going to get beat down and be down in the dumps, or if they upset Alabama, they're going to be sky high, not even thinking about Vanderbilt.
Exactly.
So I was just saying, that's how things work out sometimes. You know, we got to watch out for the same thing in Kentucky, because they get a week off after we play, I think it's South Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah, we play South Carolina, and then they're off that week, though. So if we beat South Carolina, our teams run the risk of, you know, getting blindsided by Kentucky coming in, because they're going to be so flat after being on top of the world, beating a South Carolina team. Or if they get stomped by South Carolina, it could be the same type of mental effect. They come in there just totally down and out, and so they got to watch out for Kentucky. Even though I don't think Kentucky is going to be as good as advertised, You're still going to have to take them seriously, because they have the potential to beat you.
Well, John, we're running up on 30 minutes of the podcast, this great podcast that we have going on tonight. But I wanted to ask you one more question. You know, what other games on the SEC calendar, and not even on the SEC calendar, but give me 2 or 3 other games that you're most interested in watching this week, and what do you hope the outcome of them are?
Well, let me pull up my schedule real quick.
You know, I obviously
I just had it up, and
my favorite team is always going to be Vanderbilt and whoever's playing the University of Tennessee. So I guess that I'm a Utah State. Are they the Aggies? And I saw this afternoon that the Aggies quarterback, I think his name is Chucky Keaton, has released a Heisman candidacy campaign.
Uh-huh.
I know that he sent all the local Nashville media and Tennessee media, University of Tennessee, Knoxville media, a Chucky Keaton for Heisman paper pad.
Oh, yeah?
For them to take notes on. And I think that they're going to beat UT.
Yeah, I don't know. I think UT should be able to handle Utah State. But Utah State's been very good the past couple of years. They could be dangerous, man.
What makes you think that Tennessee will beat Utah State?
Well, one thing, I think they're playing in Knoxville. It's a tough place to win. And Utah State, they've been good the last couple of years. I think Tennessee's going to be improved. As much as I think they're going to have they're not going to win more than 5 or 6 games, they do have a lot more talent on the team right now. The reason why we're picking them not to do that well isn't because they're horrible. Look at their schedule. I think they got Oklahoma and Alabama, and their schedule is loaded,
right.
buddy.
Who else? What games?
Well, you got LSU and Wisconsin coming up. That's going to be a big game.
In Houston, correct?
Yeah, I wonder why in the heck are they playing in Houston?
Well, everybody's trying now to get into different recruiting markets, I think, is what it is, and different exposure.
Yeah.
Those games are...
West Virginia and Alabama would be a good one to watch. We got Clemson and Georgia. There's some good games.
Yep.
Arkansas and Auburn. That's a good weekend to watch SEC football. I like watching them all, not just the big-time opponents. I like watching them play the little teams, too. Looks like Missouri's playing South Dakota State. Everybody's got pretty tough games this weekend. I guess Mississippi State's playing Southern Miss. That might be a good game.
Yep.
Texas A&M and South Carolina. So, yeah, should be exciting.
Yep. Well, Don, I don't know if you wanted to break the news or not, but we're going to be doing a VandyMania podcast post-game for all the games this year. Probably a quick 15 to 20-minute podcast where we just talk about the game. But that will be the next time that you hear from both of us. I'm Hunter Wade, host of the brand new Vandy podcast and the VandyMania podcast. And he's Don Yates from VandyMania.com. We'll see you guys Thursday night over on West End. Anchor down.
Anchor down.